Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fiberglass Echo Chamber. My name is Conrad Berg, and I am unaccompanied because I wanted to make this video by myself to try and explain my point of view on a topic I've brought up before. Today I'd like to discuss gender in PC culture. We've discussed this in a live stream before with Danny the Dingo, but I wanted to go a little more in depth into this. Just to clarify, I am not a doctor nor a professor of any sort, and so it's likely I will make mistakes. If you find any, point them out please. All the scientific information I'll be presenting here is taken from the internet, and the sources will be cited in the description. What I'll be doing in this video is presenting an opinion and trying to explain my views on gender in PC culture. This is an extremely controversial topic, even in the LGBT community itself, but the basics of it, at least the way I see it, could be summed up as this. One's gender completely depends on how they feel, and not on what they're assigned at birth. Gender is set on a spectrum, so you could be on the extreme sides, in the middle, or even shifting from side to side with time. Now, many would argue that being transsexual, as in going from male to female and vice versa, is a mental disorder. However, so far it appears that the causes of transsexuality are actually biological, where there is a physical disconnection between the brain and the body, where the brain structure fits the structure of the other sex. For example, the case of David Reimer, who was born a male and raised a female because of a botched circumcision, shows that the sex of one's brain is not affected by how they're raised or cared for, as David failed to identify as a female even as early as 9. Now, this is all based on the fact that there are male structures for the brain and female structures for the brain. However, like we've mentioned before, in PC culture, gender is based on a spectrum, and so what's up with the brains of non-binaries, genderqueers, gender fluids, and so on? Well, we don't know. Now, many have already jumped on the "it's a mental disorder" train. However, I think there is a much simpler way to explain this. The simplest way to put it is belief. The idea can be very easily compared to being religious. Say, someone believes in God. It is usually impossible to change their mind because you cannot prove them wrong nor right. Their ideas are completely based on their faith and belief, and same goes for non-binaries, gender fluids, and so on. If you fully believe in God, then for you, God exists. If you fully believe you have the soul of a duck, then, well, you have the soul of a duck. If it is really how you feel and what you believe, and it affects the way you act and live, then it is true for you. God exists for each person that believes in God, and God exists as long as there are those who believe in Him. Transsexuals, who have a physical disorder, are likely to exist as long as the human race does. However, the idea of the gender spectrum is quite recent, and in my opinion, kind of like religion, once people no longer believe in the given idea, it'll disappear, since at the moment we have no way of proving its existence. Of course, many of those who believe in it seem to, so-called, prove it by saying that gender is a social construct and that we see the spectrum in many different cultures. But then again, same goes for religion and God, doesn't it? We can see with religious people that, depending on the religion, they often come from similar backgrounds and doctrines. And the same seems to go for most people who identify beyond the binary. They're usually younger people who tend to consider themselves social outcasts and seem to have a very close connection to Tumblr. Now, of course, not all, but most of us have a similar image when picturing a non-binary person. Moreover, studies which research the way being religious or spiritual affected our brains and way of thinking reveal that religious people tend to suppress their analytical thinking in favor of empathetic thinking, and the opposite went for non-religious people. We can see the same effect among SJWs, feminists, and generally the PC community. Many of them ignore and deny the facts in favor of how they feel. They prioritize feelings over facts. Of course, the fact that each person has the right to believe what they wish to, and act however they wish as long as they don't hurt anyone, stays in effect. Who cares if you're male, non-binary, or a box? However, lately we see more and more countries and larger bodies forcing these ideas on the general public. Bill C-16 in Canada, the New York misgendering fine, the safe schools in Australia, the demand for a third gender option on IDs, and so on. Considering the fact that the gender spectrum hasn't actually been proven to exist, and it is mostly hypothesized and based on the feelings of those who believe in that spectrum, forcing this idea on the general public would basically be like forcing religious practices on the public, which is frowned upon in Western culture. So why is it okay to force the idea of the gender spectrum on people, but it's not okay to force the idea that there's a big daddy in the sky? Of course, not enough research has been done. We haven't looked into the idea of the gender spectrum on a biological level, and who knows, maybe it's real. But until we do, it is fully based on the way people feel, and we can basically just consider it an ideology, a belief. It helps some people hang on and be happy, and that's okay. However, we should never try and force a belief onto people. Facts are facts and feelings are feelings. You could always politely ask someone to respect your belief, however, they're not obliged to, and if you're offended, it's because you choose to be. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. If you've enjoyed, you're more than welcome to hit the like button, share this video, or do whatever else you want. If you'd like more content, you're welcome to subscribe. You're also more than welcome to discuss the topic in the comments, and hopefully we will see you next time.